Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Chima Abdurrahim Olajide. I represent Lagos Mainland Federal Constituency, Lagos State. I have a petition under Rule 8, under 8 Rule 3 of this House. I want to claim the indulgence of Mr. Speaker to present a petition written by one of my constituents, the person of Mr. Adewumi Adeniyi. The petition written to this House to the Speaker and duly signed by him, bordering on law.
compel the Nigerian police force to take responsibility for the failures of training and discipline that leads to such violations. The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in section 215 subsection 5 states that the question whether any and if so what directions have been given to the police under this section shall not be inquired into in any court of law. This provision presents a singularly obstinate obstacle to any system of effective judicial review of policing in Nigeria. Therefore, any reforms of the operations of the Nigerian police force must include a constitutional amendment to expunge this painfully undemocratic clause from our country's constitution. Substantive and wholesale reform of policing institutions is never an easy undertaking. From Europe to America and across Africa, we have seen such efforts begin and falter. Police reforms succeed when such reforms have the support of the citizens who are determined to see the process through to a rewarding end, regardless of whatever obstacles might exist along the way. This House of Representatives will act to ensure that these agents of the state, to whom we have assigned the duty to protect and serve, are deserving of the faith and respect of the Nigerian people. I ask for the support of all Nigerians as we begin this endeavor. Let us work together to achieve the vision of a nation where the citizens trust the police to always act in the public's best interest by respecting the rights of citizens and following the due process of law. God bless you all. Now I'll call on the leader of the House to move this very important motion on the issue of SARS. Go ahead, leader. What is that? It's always okay.
Arrangement. Okay. He has been recognizing this one. Okay, you have been recognizing my own. While I hope this will not be against the COVID. Are you sure? Yeah. Thank you. Right Honorable Speaker, my distinguished colleagues, Right Honorable members. My name is Honorable Alhassan Ado Dogwa. Mr. Speaker, I represent the good people of Dogwa, Tudun-Wada Federal Constituency. Honorable members, I am from Kano State. By the grace of God, I stand doubly here as the leader of the House by the leave of the House. Mr. Speaker, I stand to ride on Order 8, Rule 4 of our standing orders to come on a matter of urgent national importance. Mr. Speaker, it is on the need. Riding on Order 8, Rule 4 to come on a matter of urgent national importance, on the need to put a stop to the human rights abuses by Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SAS, of the Nigeria Police. Mr. Speaker, while I come on this order, I would also like to seek the leave of the Speaker and the House to allow the House suspend relevant rules to take this same important and urgent motion on the same day, at the same time, sir. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I so move.
Thank you, Honorable. Do we have a seconder? Honorable Alabi. Are we having issues with your mic? That's Honorable Alabi over there at the top there. Honorable Alabi. There seems to have been a deactivation of our mics, but go ahead and speak from there. I'm sure we can hear you. Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Leader.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, my distinguished colleagues, honorable members. Once again, I'm Honorable Ado Dogwa, representing the good people of Dogwa Tudunwada Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Kano State. Mr. Speaker, like I said, I rise on the strength of Order 8, Rule 4 of our standing rules to move a matter of urgent national importance on the need to put a stop to the human rights abuses by the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SAS, of the Nigeria Police Force. And the motion reads as follows. The House notes with great concern the persistent outcry by Nigerians over the brutality and human rights violations by the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SAS, of the Nigeria Police. Disturbed by the alarming rate of unauthorized raids, extortion, stealing, frame-ups, indiscriminate search of mobile phones and other smart devices, and arbitrary confiscation and fraudulent conversion of private property of citizens to their personal use, realizes that this is a sharp departure from their core mandate of responding to cases of armed robbery, kidnapping, and other violent crises. Concerned that their activities in most cases have led to loss of property and extrajudicial killings, which is eroding public confidence in government and in governance, and diminishing our human rights and democratic credentials as a nation. Recalls that the recent deaths of Ifoma Obugu, who was allegedly raped and murdered in FCT, Kingsley Tariwa in Port Harcourt, Daniel Ikeguchi Chibuke in Eleongo River State, Kolade Johnson and Temiu Kazim in Lagos, Sunday Bong in Abuja, and Miracle in Inewi, to mention but a few. Aware that the Anti-Torture Act 2017 and the newly signed Police Act prohibit the use of torture, harassment, and intimidation by security agencies. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, deeply worried that despite repeated announcements since 14th August 2018 by police authorities to reform SAS, the problem of human rights abuses and impunity still persists within the police force. Observe that in most cases, efforts by victims and their families to seek redress or justice is greeted with concerted opposition from the police authorities, including threats to their lives. The House therefore resolves: 1. To demand the Inspector General of Police to take decisive action to stop the brutality and human rights violation by SAS and report same to the House within 3 weeks. 2. Further request the Inspector General of Police to produce a comprehensive record of disciplinary and or judicial action taken against the officers accused of abuse of power in the past 5 years. 2, in bracket, produce immediate plan for identifying and compensation of victims. 3, set up a joint committee of justice, human rights, and police affairs to oversee and ensure compliance of the above prayers and conduct public hearing on human rights violations of citizens by SAS and submit their report within 6 weeks for further legislative action. Take immediate steps to develop legislative actions to: 1. Amend existing laws and the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to excise or delete Section 215 sub 5 and replace it with provisions that ensure judicial review of police actions to entrench and enshrine, to be entrenched and protected by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. 2, in bracket, establish a framework, legal framework, for holding individual members of Nigeria Police Force, NPF, accountable for their conduct in the course of performance of their lawful duties, including criminal and civil liabilities. 3, allow the Nigeria Police Force, NPF, to bear civil liability for failures in their conduct and operational procedures that lead to violations of citizens' rights. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I so move.
I believe that was extremely comprehensive, including the prayers. I've just found out now, earlier on when we started, the first day when we resumed, I said I can perform magic and do all sorts from here with this new system. Apparently, there's a padlock here. There's something that shows a padlock, and I hit it by mistake, and that shuts everybody out. So I'm glad to know that I have that capacity. Yeah. Honorable Elumelu, Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Honorable Godwin Elumelu, and I represent the good people of Anyocho Federal Constituency. I'm from Delta State. In supporting this motion that is very germane and important, I rise to second the motion as moved by the House Leader. I so second.
Thank you, Leader. You want to add some flesh? I think this is important. I would have put the question, but we'll take 2-3 contributions because it's important. You want to add something to that, or do you want to yield your time to others?
Right, Honorable Speaker, I would like to do the two. I will speak very briefly to the motion and allow my distinguished colleagues to also contribute. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, like you rightly said, this is a clear-cut motion, a clear, well-spelled-out motion. The motion has spoken for itself. It has spoken for each and every member of the House here. This motion has spoken on our behalf individually and collectively. The fact that we are here representing our respective constituencies and by extension the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is enough for us to announce or to accept and identify ourselves with this motion, believing that we are speaking on behalf of the Nigerian people through our voices here. Mr. Speaker, I would like to also say, going by the legislative agenda of this ninth House of Representatives under your able leadership, that we have always said it and we would like to repeat, that whatever borders on the right of our people, whatever borders on the welfare of our own people, protection of lives and properties of the people, this House will not take that lightly. And this is an issue that we must have to speak collectively with a very strong voice, a strong warning to whoever is involved in these sharp practices. Nigeria cannot be run as a banana republic. We have laws that must be respected, and we must remain as an institution that does not only make laws, but an institution that must also be seen as custodians of the laws of the Federation. And by doing this through this motion, I believe every member will be proud here to add his voice and let the nation know that we are concerned. We are really concerned, and Nigerians must be safe under a democratic session of this nature. President Muhammadu Buhari is also concerned about human rights policy. The APC and the PDP are also concerned about human rights protections, and the National Assembly, and specifically the House of Representatives, must also be concerned about that. Mr. Speaker, we have to call it a stop. Enough is enough. Our people must be respected, and our laws have to also be protected. Thank you. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. My sister, Beniral, you can step down your case. You don't have to speak.
Thank you, Leader. I'm sure you all remember that we were here not too long ago. We commended a gallant officer who did so well, and we commend him. So when there's a need, we will commend, and when there's the need, we will condemn. Honorable Alabi, seconder of the motion, you have a contribution.
Thank you once again, Mr. Speaker. I'm Honorable Akin Alabi. I'm from Oyo State, and I represent the good people of Egbedo and our federal constituency. Mr. Speaker, I think it's quite ridiculous and shameful that in 2020 we're still talking about police harassing innocent citizens, especially the members of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS. In 2020, we're still talking about police intimidating Nigerians. We're still talking about the police extorting Nigerians. We're still talking about the police murdering Nigerians. The institution of the police, and SARS by extension, is supposed to be an institution we all look at with pride. It's supposed to be an institution we look up to and say, we are safe. But contrary is the case, Mr. Speaker. As you rightly said a couple of weeks, Mr. Speaker, you said the average Nigerian is more afraid of the police officer than he is of armed robbers. You were absolutely spot on, Mr. Speaker. But how long are we going to continue to do this? A young man or woman driving, let's say 10 p.m., he's not afraid of armed robbers. He's afraid whether there's a SARS official lurking in the corner and he's going to double cross him. You won't even know whether the SARS official is an armed robber or not because the way they even look. We don't feel safe anymore. How long are we going to continue to do this for? We know they take bribes. They extort you. If you don't have cash, they lead you to the ATM. We now hear they even accept cryptocurrency. They accept Bitcoin. It's that terrible, Mr. Speaker. The bribe they collect, we hear it goes way high up to the DPOs and co. But I don't want to believe it goes as high as the Inspector General of Police. If he is not a partaker of this illicit proceeds, Mr. Speaker, then why is it? Why is it that he cannot come out and put an end to this menace? They are meant to be a menace to armed robbers, not a menace to the average Nigerian. Why is it? He has paid lip service to this matter about 4 times. He will release a statement, and the next day the boys are back on the road. The time is going to come, Mr. Speaker, when the people are going to rise up. They're going to start asking themselves, where are the SARS officials? And they're going to take up arms and start fighting the SARS people. And that's going to be terrible because the security situation of the country is already in a precarious state. We can't afford it to get worse. So we call on the Inspector General of Police to end this menace now, to end this madness now. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Akin Alabi. Honorable Victor Mela.
Right Honorable Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, my name is Honorable Victor Melat Anzaria. I represent the people of Balanga Plenary Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Gombe State. Mr. Speaker, I want to support this motion by start saying that the leader that brought up this motion is a Nigerian motion. This motion, it's so important, is a life-giving motion to the system of this country. Mr. Speaker, the police are not just harassing Nigerians. The police, by extension to SARS, they are voluntarily, willfully, knowingly, and consciously harassing Nigerians. They know it is wrong. They know they're not supposed to do that, but because they know nothing is going to happen to them. Mr. Speaker, I want to add one thing. I don't believe all the police are bad. I want to say training and development is the most important ingredient that is lacking in that system. Mr. Speaker, you have officers that don't use their names. You have officers that came on board because of somebody's qualification. How can you have professionals in this industry? Mr. Speaker, I support this motion. Honorable colleagues, this is not good for Nigerians. Mr. Speaker, finally I will say, when the police begin to go to jail, when they begin to pay compensation, they will learn their lesson. They will know that they are not above the law. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Let's restrict to 2 minutes. Honorable Toby.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for unlocking the microphone. My name is Toby Okechukwu. I represent an area of Wajiri Federal Constituency from Enugu State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, this motion on the need to put a stop to the human rights abuses of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS, of the Nigerian police is germane and is very important. Mr. Speaker, our citizens are hot. We elected as a country to have the Nigerian police force. And their responsibility is to protect Nigerians and not to be a menace. Mr. Speaker, as it is now, honorable colleagues, Nigerians cannot breathe. We had a George Floyd situation in the United States of America. But 6 feet down in this country, 6 feet down in this country, are a good number of Nigerians that cannot breathe anymore. They include Ifeoma Abugu, Kingsley Tariwa, Daniel Ikaguchi Chibuike, Kolade Johnson, Temiu Kazin. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, these people are 6 feet down. They cannot breathe. We have done, as enabled by our laws, to do our best to support the Nigerian police. Just less than a month ago, we amended the Police Act to give them the necessary enablement to perform their duties. Mr. Speaker, this Parliament also passed the Police Trust Fund, and today they are supposed to enjoy 1% support from taxpayers' money. And what we reap What we reap for doing our duty is to have them be a menace on our citizens. Mr. Speaker, nothing in our Constitution, international protocol, in their training should warrant policemen accost our citizens without any let or hindrance. As a matter of fact, SARS presupposes special anti-robbery squad. I do not know how this dovetails to them searching telephones of members of the public, searching their laptops. As a matter of fact, Mr. Speaker, we have police in various parts of this country, and they have state commands of the police. This undue centralization is hurting. And that's why we want some restructuring of the police. But even when they are not restructuring immediately, why can't they face their state command structure? So that people don't begin to behave above the law. So, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, as a matter of fact, we have had situations where citizens of this country have canvassed for the ban of SARS. But each moment, as if that would, once the citizens begin to calm down, they begin to reinforce their illegal actions to the detriment of the citizen. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, we need, as a matter of urgency and as prayed by this motion, to interrogate the processes of the police, to hold them accountable, individually accountable. I understand some section of the Constitution, section 215, section 5, essentially absolve them from individual responsibility, but need to face the law. They need to be responsible for their actions. I do not think that the IGP of police would ask them to perform those illegal actions. I do not think that there is any command that will warrant them to put our citizens 6 feet down under the soil, to get them buried. The citizens of this country cannot breathe, Mr. Speaker. They have to be held liable, personally liable for the actions they take. Not a matter of dismissing from the police. The highest sanction that can be meted out to a police officer is to have him dismissed from the police. And to what extent that does compensate for killing a Nigerian for no reason whatsoever. The first instance that unless there is a specific report relating to armed robbery, there is no reason, no merit in a police officer stopping a citizen on the road and searching his telephone, searching his laptop. It should never happen, not in a country of laws. And we have a constitution and our laws that guide us. Thank you very much.
Okay, everybody wants to speak on this subject, and that's understandable. But in the interest of time, so that, and the fumigators are getting ready so that the air can clear here, we have to move rapidly. We'll just take 2 from each row, and then we'll call it a day. Yes. Yes, Honorable Yuba.
Thank you, Excellency, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues. My name is Shaba Ibrahim. I represent the good people of Lokoja, Kogi Federal Constituency. Your Excellency, I'm from Kogi State. Let me begin, sir, by adopting the submissions of my colleagues in respect of the motion ably moved by the majority leader. Your Excellency, Mr. Speaker, my view is centered mainly on subsection 5 to section 215 of the Constitution. Your Excellency, it is beyond argument that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. The police have been imbued with enormous powers and responsibilities in the discharge of the functions for which they were set up. Subsection 5 to section 2156, and quite ironically, to exclude them from scrutiny, judicial scrutiny, precisely. I make bold to say, Your Excellency, that it is an affront on the doctrine of separation of powers. It is an affront on the rule of law. Whatever we seek to do today, sir, without expunging completely and having that with due respect of noxious provision taken out of our laws, the police can always find a justification for all infractions. That is my humble position, sir. I thank you for the audience.
Thank you very much. We move to this Honorable Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Honorable Ndudi Godwin Elvelu, and I represent the good people of Anocho Federal Constituency. I'm from Delta State. Mr. Speaker, having seconded this motion, which I think is a very good motion that we brought it up, it will also clearly tell our people that we feel for them. Section 14, subsection 2A, which also provides that government shall provide security and welfare of the citizenry, is clearly very, very explicit. And if you recall, Mr. Speaker, our Nigerian people came out en masse to vote for us to be in this office. And of course, they expect that that security and welfare of themselves should be well guided by us in our activities in terms of legislation that we put, and also by way of appropriation, by ensuring that we focus on things that will make sure that they live peacefully. And that was why in appropriation we tried as much as possible to inject funds that will make the police force to function effectively. But Mr. Speaker, it's like what we have done is to shoot ourselves by giving them funds to now fight our people. And that, to me, means that this kind of scenario must be revisited and ensure that we investigate properly to see how the IGP will be seated and allow our citizens to be so brutalized by the SAR group and nothing is done about it. Why I'm worried, if you look at communities, the face of security in Nigeria and in the communities are the police force. We have no any other face that showcases the character of Nigerians. And in their conduct, by collecting bribes, just like my colleague has submitted, and by brutalizing our people, create a very wrong impression about us. And this has to stop. Therefore, I will urge that during the investigation, that the committee that will be saddled with the responsibility to thoroughly investigate, to find if the money that is appropriated here is also the money that they are using to fight our people. Because if that is the correct thing, it means that our people will now indirectly feel that we are the ones killing them. It is difficult, it is painful, it is highly unacceptable, it is very damaging to see our natural Nigerians who on daily basis you wake up in the morning, Mr. Speaker, to go for a lawful duty, to look for things to bring up your children or to cater for your home, and on being outside, you are accosted by SARS, and the next thing you see, your properties are searched, and they ask you to give them money. When you fail to give them money, the next thing you see is that you are brutalized. We are peaceful people. We are Nigerians that believe in harmonious relationship amongst ourselves. Be you a Yoruba man, be you an Igbo man, be a man from wherever, but you're a Nigerian, we are supposed to be living peacefully. And this attitude of SARS has now given us a very bad image. And all over the world, they are watching us. And I think that is condemnable, and people must speak badly about how they have behaved and tell Nigerians that they still have a House of Representatives that they can rely on. That this House believes in them, this House is voted to represent them, this House is here to stand upright at any time in time to speak for their own good. I so submit, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Minority Leader. Please hit your microphone if you want to. Honorable Olatubosu. Please, let's restrict this thing to 1 minute each. I still have a motion from Honorable Simon and Honorable Bagos. I have a motion from Honorable Abonta. I have a motion from Honorable Zachar. Unfortunately, they're just going to read the title so we can put the question. We have no time at all. It's already 2 o'clock and they really need to fumigate this place. Honorable Olatubosu, please keep restricted to 1 minute.
Olatubosu.